All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Why I Love Real Estate 6.0. It's great to be here. My name is Matthew. I'll be hosting for today. So I want to say thank you for coming. This program means particularly a lot to me because I was here at the first version, I was here at the second version, I was here at the third version, and it really set the tone for my career. It really gave direction for the undergraduate version of me. So it's set to be a great time, a great time, especially with the caliber of speakers that we have today. Our first session is going to be taken by the COO of Northcourt, Mr. Ayo Ibaru, who is up now. You're welcome, sir. Morning, sir.
Good morning, Matthew. How are you today?
Very well, thank you, sir. It's great to be here.
Yeah. Okay, so I can take it off from here.
Yes, sir.
Okay, brilliant. Once again, want to welcome everyone for taking out the time to be here. Our speakers all lined up, and even those in the audience. Thank you so much, and also Matthew, the rest of the back office support. Want to really appreciate you for taking out the time to join our Why I Love Real Estate 6.0, which we are on the way to starting as we speak. So I'll just start out by giving a welcome address, which I think will help guide our discussions, and then we'll go into our first panel session, which will run for about 45 minutes thereabouts. Please, if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat box. Matthew will be on after this to help guide that process. And then we will have Tayo come in to speak on his own session, and then take the second panel. So greetings and welcome to you all. Why I Love Real Estate was started as an idea to provide a foundation for the future of the practice of real estate in Nigeria. Now, over the last 6 years, the event has brought together some of Nigeria's brightest minds in the field while educating and inspiring future generations of practitioners and enthusiasts. One would ask, why do we do this year in, year out? Now, a few things come to mind. First, we believe that there is a responsibility to prepare those who will make the future much better than it is today. Transparent real estate markets, driven by competence and character, are critical to sustained growth, as we can see all over the world. We also believe that the future can be molded in such a way that it benefits all, which is why we have invited speakers who will do this matter justice. Lest I forget, we would also want to appreciate everyone who sent in entries for the 2022 EMSA Research Competition, and to congratulate our winners, Ojebode Isaac, brilliant entry, and Ifeoluwa Arola, both from the University of Lagos, and Nelta Musimangape from the University of Witwatersrand in South Africa, who came in third. And with that, I'd like to welcome each and every one of you once again, and also bring our panelists up to the stage, so to speak. The first panelist we have is Dr. Ibukun Adebayo. She is the CEO of Rock Realty, brilliant speaker, great business, and she's really good at what she does. Also, we have Tunde Balogun, who is the founder, CEO of Small Small. They are doing a lot of work in the PropTech space, and he will talk to us more on his growth and how far they have come. And of course, Kola Ashiru Balogun, who is the CEO of Terra Developers. And with that, I'd like to ask that we put on our cameras if we can, so we can start the first session. Tunde, it's good to see you. Thanks for taking out the time to join us today. Again, just to give the audience a bit of a background, we'll be discussing positioning for the future. Kola, good to see you. Thank you so much. I know we had to drag you out of your busy schedule, so I will try to keep this as brief as I possibly can. The audience here are comprised of students from tertiary institutions, and we are live across multiple number of platforms. We're on YouTube, and we're on Mixer, which is strictly audio. So I guess my first question will go to Tunde, because I've seen you at different fora and you're really great at giving us this perspective. Could you let us know how you started and what you've had to get through to where you are today with Small Small?
Thank you, Ayo, for the question. It's a pleasure being here today. It's good to see my Oga, Mr. Kola Ashiru here. Very, very supportive Oga at the top there. So to take the question, I mean, real estate is as real as it gets. And 2015, I moved back to Nigeria, and in the process of trying to get a place to rent, was when I realized that, people were paying rent 1-2 years upfront. And for me, all the 10, 12 years I lived abroad, I was paying my rent monthly, right? I was just thinking, if I were to be paying yearly, how difficult it would have been for my parents or for myself, even when I started handling my own expenses myself. So that just kind of created that burning desire. With the company I had started before, Small, which was outside of Nigeria, was a real estate company, handling vacation rental largely, property management and all that. So I learned so much from that, and that just kind of grew my desire to wanted to do more in real estate. And then moving back to Nigeria, the problem which we've been solving the last 4 years jumped at me, and I knew that I could give myself to this and know that, if we solve it, then I've really had a major impact on humanity, if I can put it that way. So that's how we started talking about how the journey has been. Like I said, real estate is as real as it gets. If not for, I think, the zeal and the passion and the drive to want to really solve a real problem, that would have had value to humanity and, really help people live a better life, if I can put it that way, I think I would have picked race, as we usually say in this climb, because of how real estate is. The other way I look at it is that, when you ask people from maybe industry like fintech and all of that to come into real estate, I don't think many will be able to survive the space, because again, it's a very real industry. We can look at ways to make the industry, we can look at enablers to ride on to make the industry better, which is one of the thing we are doing using technology to solve the rental problem. But it's the other side, the other way to look at it is it's a basic human need. When we talk about housing, real estate, we're talking about roof over head, whichever way you want to look at it, whether residential, whether, commercial, it supports everything we do pretty much, businesses, your housing needs and all that. So it's as real as it gets. And I think that's all I'll say about it. So thank you.
I mean, you've mentioned quite a number of things, and I'm having to resist the temptation of asking you follow-on questions so that we do give others the opportunity to speak. I have followed your journey. I'm still following your journey, and I think you guys are on something great and something significant that I think our audience can learn from. I guess I will go to our dear Dr. Ibukun. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Okay, could you unmute your mic? I'm not sure I can hear you well.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. So could you give us a background, your history, from where you started, to, founding Rock Realty and what the experience has been?
Okay, so interesting. I like to describe my journey this way. And for everyone who will be listening, especially if you're a student, you need to focus on what your journey could evolve to be. So I call my journey a journey of evolution. And it came from certainty and then uncertainty. From uncertainty, I went on to confusion, and then from confusion to clarity, and then in real estate. And I'll describe that because you see, the reality is not everybody listening to me eventually will end up in real estate, right? But then the most important thing for us to learn is, how do I evolve, right? In my life, if I end up in real estate, that's beautiful. If I don't, how else do I evolve? So I studied medicine, right? My first degree was in medicine and surgery. And then at about 600 level, as I was rounding up, I just knew that this is not exactly what I want to do. So it was certainty all my earlier years. I thought I wanted to be a doctor, and I thought I wanted to become a surgeon. There was a lot of certainty. I thought I knew exactly what I wanted to be. So I went from certainty to then uncertainty. Suddenly I found out that, oh, this is not really what I want to do. So what exactly do you want to do? So I went into confusion. And then in that space, I tried a few things. And it's interesting that most of the things I tried then were relics of something deep on the inside of me. So for example, I tried interior decoration because I loved homes. I couldn't tell what I loved about buildings and homes, but I knew I loved, so I did a few courses in interior decoration. I started a company called Hayes Interior. And I said, I'll do Christmas bouquet for offices. Then I tried to sell some snacks, right? And then eventually I found out, then I did some work, voluntary, in investment management, where I then found my space. That evolved into real estate investment management, real estate financing, real estate development, and then I focused on real estate. Now, the interesting thing is that in my journey to real estate, right, I didn't have the background that suggested that I could thrive. But I had one thing that worked, and that thing was the ability to explore me. The moment I explored me, I found out that what it takes on the inside of me to thrive in every space that I laid my hands upon was on the inside of me. And that's not cliche, by the way. So when you hear everything that you need is on the inside of you, it's not a cliche to make you feel that somebody's trying to give you a motivational talk. Everything you actually need is on the inside of you. So how did I start real estate? I was doing investment management, a big part of the portfolio. Now, this is where real estate becomes important. I was in private wealth, which is high net worth individuals. In the company that I was managing investments, right, I was doing HNIs, high net worth individuals, and many of them had real estate in their portfolios. So for me to advise on their investments, I needed to understand real estate. So I started self-studying. So for those of you who may already begin to understand where you want to play in real estate, this is the time to start studying about that space. And real estate is not just about development. For example, Northcote is big on research. There's so many aspects of real estate that you can begin to learn about, read about, intern, or do some voluntary jobs when you're asked to strike or holiday, whichever one you're on at any time, right? So I learned about real estate by doing private wealth management. I had to self-study and read on my own. And then somebody who I was managing his portfolio and had a part which was real estate, and I was advising based on what I read on my own and just speaking to people around, then recommended me to head the real estate department at the Infrastructure Bank. So I became the head of real estate at the Infrastructure Bank, and then I just blew my real estate world, went on and then started the company called Rock Realty. By the way, I didn't start Rock Realty having a lot of money. So I said, Ibuku, you know what? You don't have a silver spoon. What are you going to do? And many people need to understand that there are many pockets of real estate. The CEO of Small just spoke to us about pay rent monthly scheme, which is just beautiful in itself. Don't think that real estate is just all about development, and it's not just all about marketing. I'll speak to the ladies here. There's real estate marketing, there's real estate research, there's real estate advisory, there's real estate legal advisory services, there's real estate legal, there's architecture, there's architecture advisory, there's project management. There's a whole lot that you can do. You need to look at where your strengths are. So my own strength wasn't money. My strength was my brain. My strength was experience. So we started Rock Realty as an advisory company because as it be now, nobody go pay me. Nobody go say make I pay for my own brain. So I decided to start with what I knew in my head and set up a real estate advisory company till we became the advisory company to go to in Abuja. Then as things became better and we're able to show up capital, we then started going into development, and that's a different story on its own. So never be afraid of a journey. Know what you're looking for. Decide to take steps towards it, and understand that evolution is something you must never run away from. Okay? Thank you so much, everyone.
Dr. Ebukun,
yes.
You've started to lead us to the next set of questions we want to ask, because
okay.
I'm sure people will want to know how you navigated confusion. You made it sound like it happened in like 2 weeks, or like in 1 month, 2 months, it was all over.
Okay.
And then there were areas where you had to build on experience. And I know private wealth, I mean, those of us here who are familiar with how the clients there operate, you have to be a certain way. And I know this has taken you quite a number of years, to put together and make happen. And then it was still a risk jumping out, from private wealth to starting Rock Realty. So it's a lot of things I'll need you to discuss more on when I ask my next set of questions. But I need, I can almost call him Dr. Kola now because of the kinds of projects he has done. I can almost call him Dr. Kola now. Could you let us know what your own experience has been? It's been something else. But let me allow you, do the honors. You can unmute your mic and take us through.
Yeah. All right. Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, everyone. Matthew and everybody on the call. Tunde, Dr. Adedaya and everybody. Nice to meet everybody on the panel too. Well, my own experience has been, I always say it's, I'm a very restless person. Once I get comfortable, I know it's time to, once I get into a comfort zone, I know it's time to, that there's something I'm not doing right, and it's time to move on to the next level. Interestingly, I studied information systems in school. So, when I was in college, I wanted to be a software developer. In hindsight, and looking at the money that these guys are making today, I think I should have just stuck to software and IT development. But, so what happened was I was doing software development in the US. I was okay. And for me, I think I enjoyed it, but I wanted something different. And you can imagine you're doing software development in 2000, which is kind of like the peak of the tech boom then. And then I started, when I now got out of school, immediately I got out of school, I got a job in a finance company, Goldman Sachs. And, here I am getting restless, getting well paid, but getting very restless that, look, I don't enjoy what I'm doing, but I love the money, right? So during the day, I would do finance. At night, I'll do software development. So do programming from like 6 p.m. to like 5 a.m., then go to work the following morning. Did that for years. And I finally just said, look, I'm tired. I wanted something more challenging. But, I learned one thing I picked up a lot of, I didn't realize it then. I picked up a lot of skill sets in terms of finance, which is quite critical. And when you look at all these different aspects that I've been in, I've picked up skills from different industries that have helped me today. So I got really tired, bored, restless. I wanted something challenging. So I said, you're in the middle of New York. Why not do real estate? Started looking around. Why real estate? Oh, it's a challenging industry. And for Blacks in the US then, it's not something you ordinarily would step into on a commercial level, right? When I say commercial level, you're doing high-end office buildings, not just your typical mom and pop residential. So I wanted to do that how do I build a skyscraper? How do I build, these high towers in New York? And I realized that, look, I don't have the financial understanding or the background. It's about money. All those buildings are about monetizing. It's all about the real estate is a great storage of store of capital. So I quickly realized that, and I went back to school, and I did my master's in real estate finance just to learn about it. So after finishing that, so now you have this guy with X number of years of experience. To even get into the real estate industry, you have to come in at a junior level. I was like, no problem. So I started again at a junior level to start learning the ropes. So I started as a junior acquisition person. We used to go about walking the streets, looking for properties to buy, walking the streets, looking for properties to buy, and then look for financing, arrange the financing for the developers. Then sooner or later, I started working as an advisor. So I used to advise developers on how to do this thing. So all this while in the US, we never touched. I could give you a full analysis, help you arrange the financing, help you do everything on how to acquire a multi-story building in the US without necessarily understanding how the building was built or anything. So again, I got restless. I got comfortable. I said, look, I needed the next challenge. And I'm not sure why, but I thought of Nigeria would have been. But you know what?
Well, challenge, Nigeria is the right place.
It's the right, yeah. So I decided that, look, I packed up, my wife and kids, everybody, let's go back to Nigeria. Everybody thought I was crazy. But let's go back to Nigeria, and I did. And coming back to Nigeria, so they told me it was more of a finance job, real estate finance job. You'll just be doing the same thing. All right, so I get back to Nigeria. The first thing my boss says is that, we want to build one project in Lakaway. Oh, okay, here's the financial model. No, you have to go and see the site. I was like, where's the site? I don't do site. I don't do those kind of things. I just do financial model, and I can help you raise the funding and everything. I already had people I was going to talk to help raise the funding. The woman was like, no, Kola, you have to go there with the team. So literally, this guy that is coming back from America, they sent me to Lakaway with a team of malams and everybody with machetes, cutlasses, to start cutting the trees to even get access to the land. I was like, yeah, this is a different form of real estate. But, for me, ever since then, it's been an exciting journey. Why? Because through that, I started learning about what they call it, engineering, how to build. So you can understand, I've learned how to finance. Now I need to know how to build. So, and all of those things is what I picked up over the last, give or say, 10 years of my career. And it's been exciting. I think the most exciting thing for me, and it's what I really enjoy the most about real estate is, look, you take someone to a swamp and you more or less say, look, I can visualize it. My job is to help that client or the investor also visualize and buy into that dream, right? And say that, look, I'm going to build 200 houses in this swamp over the next 5 years. A lot of people would, yimu at you like, yeah, right. Because all they can see is just the swamp. But all you are seeing as the developer is the vision of building houses, a community where people are living. You're seeing schools, you're seeing the potentials. And that's what I really see for Nigeria. There's just immense potential. There's just immense opportunities on what to do. So that's been my experience. I would always say for me, it's about leaving that comfort zone. It's about never being too big to start again, to learn and be in the right track. It's about always being open, right? Open to new opportunities, open to new ideas, especially in this industry. You don't know it all. You're always going to learn something new from someone every day. Mm-hmm. So thanks a lot, Ayo.
I just try to imagine the contrast in your mind where you're coming from New York, not just the US, and then you are, straight dead center in Nigeria with an army of malams going with machetes. The contrast. Yeah. Okay, Tunde, I guess my next question to you is, and believe it or not, we are almost winding down. We have a number of, in fact, we have quite a lot of students, tertiary institutions, polytechnics, universities, and what have you. And I guess they are probably thinking, what can I take out of this? Hence my next question. If you were in the university, if you were in Polytechnic right now today, and you're thinking of building a strong career or a strong business, or just making the most of Nigeria's real estate market, what 3 things would you focus on today?
Okay, I think, we're talking about real estate, so I would say just put yourself out there as much as possible while you're still studying. And what I mean by that is experiences. So I didn't get to, I never had any experience in real estate. I didn't study real estate. My undergrad was business, pure international business management. I did an MBA just after that. So my first real estate experience was really just seeing a problem that someone, brought to me. They wanted someone to manage a villa for them. In the last 5 years of my, before I moved back to Nigeria, I lived in Asia, right? Thailand and some other parts of Asia. So a friend had brought this villa to me that I should help manage it. And I was handling that while I was trying to build another company. So I was managing that villa. And then, I think the villa, we were charging like $1,500 per night for it. And I saw a big, opportunity that I could make up to like, 30% of that was my commission pretty much. So I said, what if I take this one opportunity and I make it 200, one property to 200 properties. And that was what I actually did in the first 1 year. I had about 200 properties under my management. We did about $200,000 in revenue in the first year of launching that company, right? But I had to really learn a lot fast in the process of managing those properties, getting my hands dirty. I remember those days I would be in my MBA class and I would have to literally leave the class to go and handle issues at property, because they were issues to be resolved and we have people moving in and moving out, right? So learn fast. Put yourself out there so that you can gain as much experience as quickly as possible before you even want to start anything. But that should not also stop you from starting while you're in university, because you don't wait for opportunity forever. If there's an idea you have, so that takes me to the second thing, right? If there's an idea you have, right now, and you're already thinking about the real estate space in Nigeria, you're seeing problem in the real estate space, and you want to bring the solution to the problem that you're seeing, right? While you're trying to gain experience, start, doing something about it. Don't wait until we've gathered all the experience. There's a place for gathering as much experience, but there's also a place for launching out and then learning, in the process. I have had to learn in the process, and I've been in real estate now for the past 7 years. More than about 7 years, 8 years. And it's just really been learning, with the experience I've had, and it continues. So I think the last thing would be find people that's like mentors, because one of the things I did that I think would have helped me if I had thought about real estate way earlier was when I moved back to Nigeria in 2015. I wanted to, interesting, my story is similar to Mr. Ashir's story, so restless. And once I'm comfortable, I want to leave the place. It might become comfort might be that everything is going well, or it might be a comfort or discomfort of, this thing should be better and I'm not happy it's not better, so I need to do something to make it better, right? So one of the things I did in order to really understand what is happening in the real estate space in Nigeria was to ask Mr. Gbenga Olaniyan if I could come to his office for a few months to work from there and just kind of learn what they are doing, and he accepted, and for the first 3 to 5 months when I moved back to Nigeria, I was going to his office almost every day. I would join the guys to go to the field, inspection and all of that. And I mean, this was a guy coming from, abroad. I had a company I was running, and the company that I had was still operational and was still making money, right? But in that 5 months, I literally submitted myself to learning, the basics of real estate in Nigeria, as it were, right? So I think those would be my 3. Just submit yourself to learning.
Okay, at some point, this when a place is too restless, I leave, and you need to explain, how it works, and then how you recover from, because it is a willingness to consistently deal with discomfort. And at some point, you will have to explain to the audience how you handle that, right? How do you manage dealing with the discomfort of facing, between both of you, you have enough failures to discuss and keep us here for maybe another 3 or 4 hours. So how do you navigate that? And I guess that's part of where getting the experience comes in, having mentors and guides to at least help you reduce, your failure rate and ensuring that you optimize the most from your experiences. But Tunde, thank you so much. We go to Dr. Ibukun. What 3 things would you be taking seriously now? Would you focus on now if you were in the university or a polytechnic tertiary institution?
Okay, thank you so much, Ayo. And I would love to take off from where Tunde just left. Thank you, Tunde. Thank you, Doc. It's interesting that this issue around restlessness comes in. I have found that the only way to consistently be ahead of the pack or to consistently become better is for you to be restless. Because when you're not, so in school, I was restless, but if I was to do this again, I'll be a lot more restless. And I'm taking off from where Tunde said, because the first point that I wrote was mentorship. Most of the time, when you're in the cocoon called school, there is a tendency for you not to understand what the world outside that cocoon is. So if you're preparing yourself for the real estate space, so that when you come, it's like a man who is in the gym, is while he is training to build up his muscles that he has to face the enemy. Now you don't want that to happen to you. And for many of us, that was the experience. So if I was to do this again, while I'm in school, I would sign up to mentorship, I would read, and I would intern, right? So my first point was mentorship, interning, and reading, right? So I would read a lot. I will write what I have learned from books. And then I would from time to time go back to them. Because in the real world, outside that cocoon called school, you then meet with real life situations. And it will be great that you have some level of muscle that helps you to be ahead of the pack in whatever industry that you choose. And I find that in listening to mentors and also in interning or volunteering, you would begin to understand what your particular preferences would be. So by the time you're stepping out of school, you already have a fair idea. This is the part of real estate that I would love to start with, because it may not be what you would do eventually, but you will understand your entry points that will give you a footing in the industry and will build your confidence in the industry. Second, a man once said that until you put your thoughts out of your brain and write them out, like writing your thoughts out are more like a time machine. Now, as you listen to mentors, as you attend sessions like this, the brain is wired to begin to think some things about yourself. What exactly would I love to do in real estate? What interests me? Who of the speakers interested me particularly? What is the person doing? For example, if you're on this platform right now and you don't read and you want to do real estate and you're not reading Northcote, I chew Northcote, I eat their reports, and it's free. That's information at your disposal. That's back to information, but more journaling until you put your dreams, create your real estate dream. You see, your dream may not evolve into exactly what you dreamed today in school, but you must be able to take your dreams, journal them, be able to build around them, right? And then your thoughts He said, until you bring your thoughts out of your brain and write them down, you're not able to build your thoughts into an edifice. At a time when I was stepping into real estate, and for real, my whole room was filled with posters of high rises, tall buildings, apartments. I knew I wanted to play in the middle income space. So I had all of that around me. So journal more, write more, take your thoughts out of your head, write them down, go over it over and over and over. Think of the empire you want to build, and then begin to design your journey. At first, it will look like bits and pieces. At first, it won't make sense to even you. But trust me, 1 year down the line, 2 years down the line, when you go back, you will start finding out that these things make sense and your dots connect, right? Then I will try to understand me and the power of me. For example, one of the core reasons I have decided to succeed in real estate is to show the ladies coming behind that you can succeed in real estate. Is not a male-dominated industry in the actual execution of it. We only have made it male-dominated because many of us are not playing in it. And many ladies generally think my space in the real estate industry is to be a marketer. And that's also a great space, but that doesn't have to be what, for example, we don't have key strengths in marketing, okay? So understand your strength and understand your why. So from now you can say, and you see, you can link your life now to what your life plays out to be. I became the first vice president, the first female vice president of our Medical Students Association then. And then it was a drive to basically say, oh, girls should participate in the, it wasn't a test for politics. It was a test for, I need females to participate in the leadership of ILOMSA and all of that. Now, if I had linked that to a real estate career at the time, by now, okay, we're starting what you call Women in Real Estate Africa, WIRE Africa, which, does all of the making sure that women participate strongly and all of that. That dream, if I had started nurturing it from then, understanding that I wanted to play real estate, if only I knew at the time, you are lucky because you probably have an idea now. I would have linked it as I built my career, okay? So if I had to go back now, I would understand, I'm likely to play real estate. I'm likely to want women to also play real estate. And for you, it may not be women playing real estate, but you must understand your why, right? And then the last thing, learn the reason. So many people want to do real estate because they want money. And while I was in school, so many things that I thought, I'll do when I leave school was because of money. But the most important thing is learn how to make money in real estate. Learn why you want to make money in real estate. Learn how to make money work for you in real estate. Now, all of these are lectures on their own, but the only way to do it is tag up with someone who understands a few of these things now. Be willing to learn, be willing to listen to them, right? And then as you go on, you'll find out that those pieces come together. I mean, these all things that each one of us is saying are lectures on their own, but go back and begin to build on them, right? And you'll find out that they will come together, but be determined, be focused. If all you're doing in school right now is schooling, you are not doing well because you have more capacity. You have a lot more capacity. By now, those people who want to do accounting, when they're in school, they now do the ACCAs, they do all of those things. You must be making, by the time you're coming out, if you want to pursue you want to pursue a career in real estate, you must have significant information on your hand. You know what you want to do. You know the kind of place you want to work. You know what you want to do there. By the way, you should already start thinking of how do I on the side start making money from real estate, because you are practicing for the real day. Okay. Thank you so much.
You said so many things now. I'm wondering, how do I just move on to the next speaker, or do I try and drill a bit deep? Because you did say a lot of things there. The ability to write down, what you want and where you're going, and then of course just that sheer determination. But I think something that stuck out for me was, if you are in university today and all you're doing is going to classes and doing your assignments, as tough as that is, right? You're not doing well. It's a bit, harsh the way you put it, but it's true. I agree with it 100%. Everyone here on the call, if you are in a university, if you're in a polytechnic, I mean, there's just so much capacity to go out there and as Tunde said, get as much experience as you possibly can. And yes, Dr. Bukun is absolutely right. Northcote does have free research reports. We've been tracking the market since 2015. You can go online and you can download the reports. They are super compressed, so you don't have to use too much MB as we call it, and you can read them. We have videos on our YouTube. We have comments we drop occasionally on our Twitter, our Instagram, and our Facebook pages. Please go there, read these things. They do take us quite a bit of time and effort, but we are confident that the information there will indeed, help make your knowledge, more robust as you add to it the things you learn, from your lecturers in class. I guess I will have to move this on now to Dr. Kola. Don't worry, it's the last time I'm going to call you that.
That doctor will keep going forward. We'll start calling him Dr.
No,
Kola.
So what three things would you focus on if you were in the University of Polytechnic today? What three things would you focus on?
Honestly, I think, and if you look at what Tunde and Dr. mentioned, and what I was going to mention is along the same lines. But the only thing I would just add to it is more engagement. I couldn't agree more with how they look. First of all, what's the passion? What's your passion? Now, when you identify that passion, Tunde and I, we meet, we speak often, and the passion is there for real. We're always trying to resolve problems, or and always. Just look at him, and it's how much we're going back home again to do more real estate. I buy architecture books. I buy real estate finance books, very boring books, but guess what? I enjoy them. On dinner table, that's what I'm talking about, real estate. So I live it. You have to live it. You have to enjoy it. You have to have passion for it. But for me, I think the key thing that I would add list of items that the two panelists have spoken about would be engagement. I'm always very surprised about a lot of younger folks are shy to engage professionals. I don't get a lot of requests that, look, can I work with you for this number of months or something? I think people are just, or guy might not want to do that. But I think for me, when in university, that was what I did the most. I engaged a lot of professionals, and it doesn't have to be the CEO. It can be the analyst. It can be the manager. You attend those industry events. If any of these industry events that are ongoing, attend them. Any industry, learn about the different aspects of the industry. I doubt, I'm sure there are different summits or what they call it, webinars that also organizers or participating or sponsors. I doubt, they would block access to students. I'm sure access would be free for most students or educational or people from educational background. So that's a very free, it's a free opportunity to engage the industry, engage these leaders. Most of the leaders that I've worked with in this industry, again, I engage, and they've always been willing to receive me. And it's the thing about mentorship, and people speak about mentorship. Mentorship is not a one-way relationship. It has to be a two-way thing. There has to be something me for my time, and it's not money or anything. It can be the appreciation that I'm impacting knowledge to you as the mentee. So, and it's how you engage me as the mentor. But if you just come to me as your mentor, that advise me on this, advise me on this. What do I do? What do I do? No, no, no. It has to be a two-way. I sit down with my mentor. I have a mentor today. I sit down with her. We have lunch together. I know what she likes. Once I take her for lunch, she lets loose. Then we can start gisting for like 20. I start throwing in my questions. Madam, this is what I'm thinking. What do you think? Oh, madam, what are you doing? Oh, is there any way I can help? So it has to be an engaging session. So never think about mentorship from just one side. You have to provide something too. So I think the other panelists said a lot too, and that's just the additional point that I would add to that.
I mean, thank you very much for that, Mr. Kola. It's a very strong addition you put in, because I think one of the challenges that I even had when I was in uni was, after such a long, hard day of copying notes or, going from lecture hall to lecture hall, are you saying I now have to go out, I now have to reach out, I have to follow up, I have to chase down? But the truth is, after a while, it does expose you to the reality of what the practice can be sometimes. Sometimes you have to be consistent, I think, as Dr. Ebukun put it, and you have to be willing to do the work to engage. Engagement is critical, because, at some point, once you get past a certain GPA, no one is really doubting your intelligence anymore. No one is doubting your ability to understand or to grasp the basic concepts around any study area. It's now about your ability to meet people. And if Kola here, is saying that he still has someone who he sits down with, right, to discuss things with, he especially prepares to engage that person after all the years of experience. And I'm not even saying this because he's here. You can go online, you can see all the kind of things that he's done. It does suggest that we should, as best as we can, as students, create some time and think to ourselves, okay, how can I approach this? I might not have all the resources, but how can I ensure that I have a working relationship with professionals? Because really, professionals who practice every day, they have a way of adding the right color, to the kind of things that, we are taught in school. And that is important. So, Tunde, my next question to you, and of course the other panelists thereafter, would be, can you give us 3 of the biggest lessons that you have learned practicing in our market? What are the 3 biggest lessons that you've learned? What kind of adjustments have you had to make? What are the top 3 points that you say, look, I've learned this, is how I learned this, I've learned that, and things like that?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Good. So I might not be able to put it like 1, 2, 3, but I'll just kind of put it together. So first, I had said earlier on that real estate is as real as it gets. I don't think I've done anything as hard as real estate. Not that I've done so many things in life, but in the 15 years or so that, I've been in business and all that, I think, or just living life, I think real estate has been one of the hardest things for me. And it's because of I think the part of real estate that I've chosen when I was doing vacation rental and all of that. Yeah, it was hard a bit, but it wasn't as hard as what I'm doing now, because again, it's very easy. It's you can structure it easily. But when you're coming into a space where we are literally, it's a new idea, a new category of real estate where people can pay their rent monthly in Nigeria, then a lot of the groundwork, we are still doing it. So, and we are doing it at the foundational level, not just at surface level, where, you need to do a lot of education, educating the market, educating the players who are your partners as well. So, but I think one thing that I've learned that has kept us in business and is still keeping us in business is just that commitment, that resilience of we started this for the right reason. We saw that this could happen and we want to make it happen. So a lot of time you get into something and you're doing it at a surface level. And I think when you don't have passion, or when you don't know the why, which doctor mentioned earlier, it's very easy to jump the ship when you don't have your why, easily defined or cleared out at the beginning, right? So for me, just knowing why we are doing this and knowing that there's a passion that guides it, it has allowed us to not solve the problem at the surface level, but at the foundational level. And when you're talking about doing things at foundation, it's going deep. So what it means is that when you go deep, you're going to uncover and discover things that a lot of people don't see. Even though people might think it's not really happening for you as much. You might not be the star that everybody is talking about, but because you are going deep and you are digging deep and you begin to uncover and see things that other people, and guess what those things become? Those things end up becoming opportunity for you, because what it means is that you have knowledge that most people don't have. You have understanding that most people don't have, and you can leverage on this knowledge and understanding to create something big. And that's one of what is really happening for us right now, where we started at Brand Small, but now we have other products that are actually what is sustaining the business and what has made us, all the monies we've made in recent. But we didn't start with those things. We started with our core, and our core still remains our core, which is to ensure that people are able to pay their rent monthly in Nigeria, and that becomes, a mass solution or mass adopted solution. So just really not doing things at the surface, going deep, and then also when you see those opportunities, you have a better knowledge, better understanding, be able to turn them into something that gives you more leverage and make your roots more stronger, so that people don't come to you and just push you up. Because there's a way also that you can go deep and you can burn out. There's a way you can go deep and get easily burnt out, that people now take all the hard work you've done and they just kind of ride on it. So you open the market. So you don't want to open the market and become, you are pushed away or you become irrelevant. When people talk about us today, they talk about Rent Small, but a lot of other things are happening in the background that is actually positioning us in the space that people don't know about. So we can't easily be pushed away in the market, and we continue to grow and become the market leader. So yeah.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Ibukun. What are the 3 lessons, if you can, help us, briefly communicate that? Because from your last answers, there's just so much, and 3 lessons is what we can take for now. But
The major problem now is that you put me behind today, because basically, so and as soon as spoke, what I said to myself is that Ibukun, I hope the people listening to him understand the depth he's speaking from.
Yes.
Because he basically touched on very critical things. Mm-hmm. And I'll just write on a few things from there. One, resilience, the ability. By the way, today, just to let you know, we started a parent monthly scheme and I ran out. That's the truth. Because it was work. And I don't think our why was strong enough. So I salute you. And I think that's just beautiful. That's a key lesson in resilience. You must be able to know your why. You must be able to stay with it and be able to see that you will get a lot of no's. The real estate industry looks very glamorous on the outside of it, but the depth of it, when you hit it, you get 9 out of 10 no's. And the no's come in terms of people saying no, transactions saying no, so many things saying no to you. So resilience is key. Clarity is very key. You must be able to define exactly what you want to do in the industry. So many people, the word burnout actually is really because you don't know you must understand exactly what you have set out to do. For us, for example, we have set out to work with middle income earners to ensure that they own homes using different strategies, mortgages, easier payment plans tailored to how they earn, such that someone who home ownership otherwise looks like a mirage too is suddenly able to own a home. So you have people telling us thank you when they buy homes. And I'm looking at them and say, guy, we made money, right? But you are able to break it down and suddenly he doesn't feel like home ownership is unachievable. Then third, compartmentalize. Now, for us, for people in life generally, as you go through your journeys, so many things will pull on you. For girls, for example, is family. For, so many things pull on you. But one thing I've found to be able to help me move significantly in career is that no matter what is happening in different aspects of my life, I can compartmentalize. So, for example, I could be going through a divorce and I get to work. Once I sit at my desk, I'm at my desk. Right? So understand that whatever progress in life will throw you so many things, but you must be able to put things in compartments such that real estate needs a lot of focus. And if you're to succeed there, your issues around life you must be able to put them in a box, and still you will understand this thing in 10 years time, but put it in your left hand. Understand that for you to succeed in real estate, because it's very intensive, intellectually intensive, physically intensive, I have learned that being able to compartmentalize my life and my feelings such that one part does not rub off on another. If something is not going well on one side, you are able to put it in a box and deal with it only when you're dealing with it. When it comes to your work, you are able to focus 100% and succeed at it no matter what. I've learned to compartmentalize. I've also learned that I don't need to copy someone else. I need to understand the fact that Northcote is doing research. I need to say, is that your strength? What is your own strength? What makes you tick? What makes you happy? What would you like? What problem would you like to solve? And lastly, you can start without money. And that's not the cliche. We started without money. We started with just intellectual power. Look at, if you do have money, awesome. But even if you do have money, you need to be careful in deploying so that you don't lose all the money that you thought you had. But whatever it is that your strength is where you should take off from. If you can be a good architect, then start building a world around making money from architecture, then pivot, So you can always, then lastly, look for a pocket that is not overstretched. There's always a blue ocean somewhere. What is not being attended to in real estate right now? Today found parents most more. We found working with middle income earners to break down home ownership. Northcote found solving the problem of information deficit. Find that problem that you can fit into that is either not being addressed or not being sufficiently addressed, because that quickly helps you to make a mark. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ebokun. And Mr. Kola Shiro, I think you will round up this series of questions for us. And it's really, what are the biggest lessons that you have learned in Nigeria's real estate market, pretty much?
Yeah, so it's, I think for me, again, it's, you guys keep making me speak after Tunde and Dr. Adedayo. It's, and I'm a very brief speaker, so there's so much depth in what the other two people have mentioned. For me, it's number one is networking and relationships. There's nobody, as the MD of a company, of a real estate company, I enjoy even engaging with the middle and even lower ranking personnel in contemporary companies. Why? Because I believe they're the future of tomorrow. They're the future, really. And I never, I network with them. I don't look at it that, look, oh, I'm the MD, I shouldn't be talking to you. I want to talk to you, and I think that has benefited me so much in this industry, because guess what? If I need something in a construction, because I dealt with one guy that worked in that construction company 10 years ago, and is the MD of that construction company, I'm able to relate. I'm able to get that information from him or her. So I think networking and building relations, never underestimate relationships. All the people that that I work with today are through relationships that I've been able to work with them. Number two thing for me, there's a never know it all spirit. I don't know it all. I'm happy to, and look, I read this research all the time. what's going on in the industry. Anytime I speak to Tayo, the number one question is, what our industry, and Tayo is asking me that question too about what's going to happen to, so again, I never know it all. So you always have openness to learn about the industry, to learn about the different opportunities, the different sectors in the industry. Now what I'm trying to learn about is how to become an electrical engineer. Why? Because I keep having.
Sorry, did he say he wants to be an electrical engineer? Tunde, did I hear that correctly?
I think so.
What are we going to do with this man? I think his network is frozen. Anyway, we did say, okay, welcome back.
Yeah, I just
we were talking about learning electrical engineering.
Yeah, so and then I have a power issue here. So you see, that's the more reason why I need to learn about that. My internet is actually very unstable right now. Anyway, and it's not the third thing is just have a long-term vision on the industry. There's no I want to make money in 1 year and make $1 billion in 1 year. When I do my forecast on, right, so when we even started Terra, I told my guys that, look, for the first amount of money I forecast that we can make, everybody looked at me that I'm not ambitious. And I was like, look, there's a journey there. We're going somewhere. It's not a sprint. That's the biggest problem that I see with a lot of in Nigeria today. But when you try and look at those that have the strength of time, I'll give you an example. When this guys started Access Bank, Herbert Wigwe and what's his name? They said this was in 2010. I heard them speak at an event that, look, we're going to be bank in about 10 years. And guess what? Today, so if you can have that long-term perspective, and there's a reason why it's not going to happen overnight, right? So you have to have that long-term perspective of the industry. There are going to be ups and downs. So once I have that long-term perspective, expect the ups and downs. I'm not waved about what's going on right now in the country. The thing is what's going to happen after election next year. Things are going to improve. I'm hopeful. So, have that long-term vision of the market, not just the short-term vision. So those are my own three lessons that I would, three things that you key on.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Mr. The time, as always, with us, Mr. Tunde.
Yes.
Thank you for always after this, and are all restless. To be learning after this engineering. Thank you so, Dr. Always speakers, and learned quite a lot. Hand this over to, and he will take it on from.
All right. Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the students, I think I can say a big thank you for that session. I think it was very enlightening. It definitely was very enlightening. It's always great to hear professionals speak on how and why they started their careers, all the way to how to position themselves or how they position themselves and their organizations today. Also giving their wisdom on how students should be thinking today. So thank you so much for that panel session. This is an invitation for students to leave their questions in the Q&A box down below. You see it as an icon down below. And then we'll treat them after the second session. The second session is what is required to succeed in real estate, and it will be moderated by Mr. Tayo Odunsi, the CEO of Northcote. You're welcome, sir.
Hi, Matthew. Thank you so much. And hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much to the panelists of the previous session. It was just very, very informative. Kola, thank you so much. And Kola is absolutely correct. You know, he absolutely does, and historically has always related to everyone. Many of you may not realize that Kola was once my boss, and he's the one that taught me financial modeling, you know, which was all the things that, you know, when he came to Nigeria, you know, he came to Ghana. We worked in the same organization when he first came back, you know, and I've never forgotten those, you know, those things that he taught me way back then. And of course, Tunde as well, you know, we do a lot of work together. You know, at Small Technologies, we work very closely together. And also Dr. Adedayo, thank you so much. I'm sure we've all learned quite a lot for all the students and early career real estate professionals. And I dare say that this next panel is actually going to take the conversation even a notch higher. On this panel, we'll have Dolapo Midire. Dolapo is a brother and a friend, leads the Estate Intel. I don't know if many of you know Estate Intel, but Estate Intel is the leading prop tech solution that is solving the data problems in not just West Africa, but the entirety of Africa, doing a lot of great strides already in East Africa as well, and doing great stuff in West Africa as well. Dolapo, you're welcome. Is Dolapo on the panel?
Yes, he is. Let me just reach out to him.
Okay, great. We also have on the panel Dr. Igo Fayomi. Dr. Igo Fayomi is an academic and the head of Department of Estate Management at Leeds City University, doing great stuff in the academic space. We always like to have a balanced panel, some people talking from the academic angle, and Dr. Igo Fayomi will be speaking to us from that angle today. You're welcome, Doctor. And final panel, we also have not final panelists on the panel as well. We have Ife Ade Ojo. Ife is a senior manager at Deloitte, focused on the real estate, financial advisory side of things. And Ife is doing a lot of great work, you know, at Deloitte, advising clients and doing a lot of corporate real estate work. And she'll be telling us quite a lot about that, you know, in a moment as well. And I think the final person that we'll have on this panel is the president of the Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers, in the person of Jumbo Amabevo. Mr. Jumbo would also be on the panel. All right, I think I will just start off the conversation. And if you don't mind putting on your video and, you know, coming on stream now, I'm just going to start off the conversation with you, Ife. Hi, Ife, how you doing? You could unmute.
Hi, doing well, thanks. How are you?
Awesome, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Thank you so much for agreeing to be on this panel. I guess we'll just start the conversation with you telling us about your career, how you got into real estate, and how your journey has been, from the perspective of just letting these young ones understand and, you know, being able to potentially model their careers after these great panelists that we have today.
Certainly. Thank you for the invitation and honor to be here today. So just to give you some insight into my background, when I was in school, from a young age, you know, people had always told me I had doctor's fingers for some reason. So I thought I was going to be a doctor. I was good at science. And then when I was in senior secondary school, I thought about a lot of my career decisions have been shaped on lifestyle. And I'll tell you the irony of that shaping, right? So I thought about how, do I want to do 8 more years of school before I become a doctor? And I thought, okay, look, I probably don't want to become a doctor. So I thought, okay, what practical degree could I have? Because at that point, I had realized that I'm likely not going to have just one career. So let me get a degree that will set me up for the rest of my career with really good skills. And I had so many different interests. I knew I was interested in the built environment, in construction. So I applied to university for 4 different degrees. One was architecture, because I thought maybe I would like design. One was civil engineering, because I thought maybe I'll be an engineer. One was undecided. And then the final one was hotel management. Because I had grown up going to hotels and I thought, okay, look, it could be an exciting degree. It's a mix of business and service. So I ended up studying hotel management and I thought, oh, I'll go into the hotel industry initially. It will give me good experience in terms of dealing with people, dealing with processes. But when I got to university and I started studying hotel management, I realized that there were so many career paths that I didn't even know of, I wasn't aware of, that I could pursue. So within what's called the School of Hotel Administration, they had concentrations in food and beverage, concentrations in travel, concentrations in real estate development. So I thought, maybe that hotel development will work because I've always been interested in real estate. So I can combine the hospitality industry and real estate. Anyway, long story short, one of my professors advised me that if you want to build hotels, you need to understand how they operate. So go into hotel operations first and then transit into hotel development. So that was what I did at first. During university, every single summer I worked in a different, with a different organization to get experience. I started working with a hotel operating company, and then I went back to school and got a master's in real estate development. Now, to go into hotel development, I knew I needed to understand feasibility. I needed to understand accounting. So my first job was an accountant. I then did my master's. I then went into studying feasibilities and I kind of got stuck here. So I'll stop for now because I know that we have a few other panelists coming, but I'll flesh it out in the next question. Thank you. You're on mute.
Great, yeah, thank you so much, Ife. That's very interesting, and it's interesting how you went from, again, just borrowing words of Dr. Adedaya, went from uncertainty to then begin to understand and discover yourself, and then began, to equip yourself. I think that was very critical. You didn't just tell yourself, "Oh, I like this," and just jump and start doing it, and playing very small, because that's something that we see a lot of. In the real estate space, especially in Nigeria, it's very fragmented. People have great ideas, but they are not equipped, to execute those ideas. But you told yourself, I want to do hospitality, I'm going to go study it. I want to do, development, I'm going to go study it, and that's just very great. Definitely, we will be, talking more about that in a moment. But I'm going to move over to you, Dolapo. Hi, Dolapo, how are you doing?
Hi, Tayo. Good morning. How's it going?
Great. Coming well. Thanks so much for coming on the panel. It's good to see you. All right. So Dolapo, most of these young people probably know you and know of Estate Intel. I think this is a great opportunity, and do not feel pressured to cut yourself short. Don't use up all the time, but it'll be great for you to talk about your journey. Talk about your background, your interest, and how you found yourself solving the problems that you're solving right now.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me once more. It's a really broad question. Interestingly, I didn't want to study, I didn't plan to study real estate when I started off. I actually wanted to study psychology. So it was very, very, very random. And I had the conversation with my parents and they told me, if you're studying psychology, which job are you going to do when you get back to Nigeria? So eventually, I think I ended up finding the course Investment and Finance in Property at the University of Reading, which is a very good school for real estate studies. And when I had a look at the course and read the contents, that was really the first time I was like, yeah, this sounds like it's going to be something that's really exciting. During the course, it was challenging at first. And I remember, I think, in my final year, we had some really difficult projects. And during the projects, I think the project was, we had to analyze 3 REITs. Yes, so we had to analyze, they gave us 3 REITs, one in the US, one in Australia, and one in the UK. And we had to go through their financial statements for over 10 years. And we had to look at their strategy, their management, everything you need to do, and come up with analyst reports and give them buy, sell, or hold recommendations. And during the process of that, I hated it. I completely hated it. It was so grueling. But when I had done all the analysis and I was now writing my report, the knowledge and the authority I had after doing all that analysis, doing all that research, it felt fantastic putting that pen to paper and giving my opinion with authority and with conviction about, okay, yeah, this is what I believe. Their strategy is this. The financials, I don't believe in this. I don't like this management team because their strategy is this. It felt great. And I think it was at that point that me and my other friends who were during the work, we all decided that, what we're going to do, we're all going to become the head of research in CBRE, in JLL, in all these global real estate service firms. That wasn't exactly the path I eventually took because, of course, I came back home, but I did continue working in real estate research. And I think that was sort of where I found the problem within the Nigerian real estate market that made me want to start Estate Intel. So while I was doing those types of projects that involved those types of analysis, I had access to so many tools. This was at the University of Reading. I had access to so many tools that I could use to pull up historic data. I could pull up strategy information. I could pull up, market information. I can check who leased a building in 1994, and I can see all the details there. It was really useful. And I got used to using those stuff. It was benefits of being a student, but I got used to those types of tools and those types of supporting platforms that really helped anybody who was either working in industry get access to information. So when I moved back to Nigeria and of course, I wanted to start my career in real estate, I would drive around and I'll see all these buildings that are now active. They were still just coming up. Heritage Place was still under construction. King's Tower, all these buildings were just at like foundation level. And I was seeing so much activity, but I couldn't find a simple place where I could just, what is this building? Who's the owner? And if I asked somebody, everybody would just say, it's Tinubu that owns it or something silly like that. But I just eventually, I think just out of personal interest, I just started a blog and I would just articulately look for the information, and it was there. It just wasn't really centralized and organized. So I just started getting information from one by one, and I started doing it for fun. And the response was great. We got lots of people just emailing, "Oh my gosh, you've done all my work for me. I'm trying to do a feasibility study for a hotel. You've already organized all the information I'm trying to put together." It was really good, and I think doing that alongside my professional experience, which started off at Brawl on the research team as well. Valuation first, but research was really useful. And I think that professional experience really shouldn't be ignored, especially when you want to start a business. I think with Estate Intel, even though I did it while I was working at Brawl briefly. Not briefly, I stayed at Brawl for over 2 years. While I worked at Brawl and while I stayed at AXA, I think there were formative things that helped me become who I am today that I learned from those 2 roles. So I mean that's a bit of the background of the pre-story, and that's sort of how I got here.
Awesome. That's fantastic. That's really, really great. And, it's interesting how, you were able to identify that some of how all of this started was, just doing coursework, right? Yeah. In uni. And I hope some of the students that, are currently listening right now, should be paying attention to a lot of coursework. Sometimes it's not as exciting, doing it, but you get good at it. And just speaking back off what you said, thinking about it, a lot of what we do at Northcote as well, thinking about it was that some of us that write this report at Northcote, we found ourselves that we did coursework quite well, right? We wrote our reports, quite differently, and all of that, and paid some heavy level of attention to it. At the time, we obviously didn't know it, but it obviously has come full circle, and it's just great, to know how these things, do happen. Dr. Fayemi, I'm going to, ask you the same question. You are HOD of, estate management department, at Leeds City University now, and, doing a lot of great work. I know people that, you lecture and all of that, and they have great stuff to say. And I do know that you're quite a young person as well, and very impressive. How did you get here, and why? Yeah, Doctor, can you hear me?
Well, thank you, Tayo, for having me here. Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Hello?
We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you very much, Tayo, for having me here. It's rich to speak with everyone, and I've learned a lot as well from the various speakers, giving their experiences. And but one thing I always look at is passion. What are you passionate about? But me starting getting to this level where I am today, I would say first of all I have to give thanks to God, because it's never an easy task, Trying to attain or achieve what you want is never easy, I remember vividly, after school, it's all about how to make money for the young generation, Found myself in Abuja. I was working in a fashion outlet where I was making good money, but I still didn't find fulfillment. That's where you talk about passion. What do you like doing? Even though you're not getting sufficient funds from what you're passionate about, you'll be happy. You find fulfillment with what you do. So when I was in Abuja, I was always wondering, so what will I do with my life after this? Is this what I really want for myself? I was not staying with me at that time, so it's to join him. So getting what I want to do. So it took me time to realize, Igor, you've always loved lecturing. Why don't you go back to school, get an academic master's online, and then, start your PhD, and you can become a lecturer. And that was what I did. I went back to school. I was pregnant for my son at that time. I remember attending lectures on a Monday, and on Tuesday, I had to call the lecturer to tell him I was giving birth on Tuesday. So that meant I didn't go to school for a while. I later came back, to write my exams with my baby. With all the difficulties, I still knew that I was determined to achieve what I wanted, which was finish the master program and start my PhD. And I did that, finished my master program, started a PhD. The employment I got today was because I had started my PhD. The application was sent out for estate management and those that were qualified. And amongst the people that were pre-qualified, I was the most suitable and I got the job. So that comes with preparing for opportunities. If I didn't have my PhD admission letter, I wouldn't have gotten the job to start lecturing, So eventually I started lecturing and running my PhD program, and went on like that until I finished the program, and here I am today. So it comes with determination. Okay, what do I want to do? How do I want to do it? And you have to keep pushing yourself, motivating yourself to get to that level. It also comes with focus. Focus gives you that insight to put every other thing aside and continue aiming at what you want. Sometimes it entails depriving yourself of a lot, you know. Kids might say, "Mommy, let's go watch a movie." I have to focus and study so that I can achieve what I want eventually. So that's how it works. And it also comes with criticism. People would give you both constructive. Personally, I use the constructive ones to improve on myself. Then I use the destructive ones, you know, make it to give myself a better vibe and then push on and still aim at achieving what I want to achieve. Thank you, Taya.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much, Doctor. Your network was a little fuzzy here and there, but it worked for us to still hear, you know, what you are still trying to get out, you know, and how you push yourself, and you know how you've had to persevere, and you know, passion and all of that, and that's all great stuff. Thank you so much for sharing those thoughts with us. All right, final panelist on this panel is no other than our very own president of the Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers. Now, before he speaks, I just want to formally say how much I admire this man. His depth of wisdom is super impressive. His humility is one that every one of us, you know, we should aspire to get to this depth of humility. And you don't need to tell us how you became president, because I can tell that it's your humility that got you here. I'm sure a lot of people just admire your humility and said, you know what, this is the kind of person that needs to represent us. But for the students that are on this call, sir, we'd like you to tell us about your background. How did you start out? Why did you start out? How have you persevered to the extent that you are now the president of the Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers? You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Tayo. I want to thank Tayo and his team, Noshkot, and all other panelists who have spoken before me, and all the students here present. My name is Estate Surveyor and Valuer John Bulamanyabu. I'm, by the special grace of God, the president of the Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers. When I was taking over the mentorship of this as the #1 estate surveyor in Nigeria, I remember telling people there that mine is a case study. And to the glory of God, here I am. And it's issue of perseverance, performance, honesty, devotion, dedication. The fear of God, all must come to play. Yes, it may interest you to know that I am the first HND student to become the estate surveyor and valuer, the president of the Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers. Years ago, when I would say, I really did not know what estate management was all about when I joined to read estate management in the famous school, the great school of Yaba College of Technology, years ago. And it was my brother who said, no, he was also up there reading estate management. And he said, why not do estate management? So I entered. And to God be the glory, I left the school, not just only as the best student in the department, but in the Polytechnic then, the School of Environmental Studies. And I was also fortunate while leaving the school, because of my academic performance. One of our seasoned estate surveyor and valuer, an elder, Senator Ayo Otegbala, immediately asked the school to submit 3 names of the best students from my department to come and work in his firm. Remember, estate surveyor and valuer Ayo Otegbala was formerly the senior partner, Knight Frank, then Knight Frank and Rotley. So that was how the journey began. But before then, during those IT period, I will remember one major incident. when I was to do IT, I'm from Benin. I went to the Oba's Palace and I got a letter when I was to do my 1-year IT. I got a letter to go and read, to go to Chevron. And when I got there, I got to Chevron, they said they would take me to Warri. Those days, the real estate sector, if you are not in Lagos, you are not it. How will I go to Warri? Chevron, yes, good allowances and so many other things. But I decided to say, no, I want to go into practice. I want to know more about this profession. And I joined a company, a firm in Lagos. I jettisoned joining, that time it was not Chevron, they called them Gulf Oil. For some senior people here will know Gulf Oil changed to become Chevron. So, and I joined a firm that was not paying me anything, no money. And I was working. Mine was that experience, which unfortunately is lacking today. As I speak to you, because of where I did my IT in Lagos, I know the map of Ebutemeta, the whole of Yaba in my head. I know the map of Surulere up to Kpako Aguda, for those who know Lagos, in my head. I know the map of Barik because of the location where I did my IT. After 3 months there, when they were not paying, I joined Dia Fatimele, where I remember one of my classmates only did 2 hours with Dia. Why? Because the work was too much. You must scout, scout, and scout. I did all those things. So I joined. And let me share all this, because these days people look at no office work. Yes, it's part of it. Then agency was a major aspect of this profession. But you and I know we have about 14 major functions that estate surveyors and valuers does these days. Agency is just a fraction. But then that was a major thing where we did our IT. And I finished doing my 1-year industrial attachment with Fatimele. Then I went to do my youth service. And immediately I finished, I now joined Senator Ayo Otegbola, where I worked for so many years to become from there. And immediately I finished because I already know the regulations, the requirements. I did not wait a single day. Immediately after 2 years of training, I wrote NAIF's exam then. But these days you are lucky, even as you are finishing, you can write. But that time you must first of all do 2 years. Even if you write now, you must still do that, your youth service, and another 1-year training. So at the end of the day, I finished there, and I did just the day I was 2 years, I put in for my exams. Before my exams result came out, I was sure of myself. I have already prepared my synopsis. Immediately the result was released, I submitted my synopsis. No room for procrastination. You know, when you are in school, your head is still, in Yoruba they say, bono, it's still very hot, So I immediately did that exam, and before it came, I finished my synopsis. As soon as the result came out, I submitted the synopsis. As soon as I also know that a lot it will be accepted. So I submitted, as I was submitting, I already collated my data, all information about the critical analysis. So immediately it was approved. I put on pressure on my supervisor, my Oga Senator Ayo Otegbola, and I eventually supervised me through the CA, critical analysis, everything I submitted, and went for the interview. And to God be the glory, I passed. I was very focused because I know one day I was already aiming at that time to be the number one. That was as early as in the 80s, you know, to be the number one. So what am I trying to say here? You must dream your dream, work towards it. But in all these things, you must have in your mind issue of ethics. Is very key. Standard is very key. And you must be honest. It is very key. Just as the moderator said, humility, there's nothing like humility. Even if you have the best, you have the resources, humility, fear of God. You must be ready to share your ideas with people. You think you know it, only for you to share it and somebody will tell you, oh, what you think you know is not right. So in school those days, I was somebody like that across. Everybody jumble wants to, please come and teach me this. I need to teach this. I was not really having time of my own. Share your ideas. Do tutorials. This profession is a wonderful profession. As I speak to you, first of all, let me apologize again for joining late. I did a courtesy visit, led the council to visit. You will be wondering, what are we doing there? We have work. There's no place, no industry that you cannot have services of the estate surveyor and valuer. We were at the correction center services. For those who know correctional services, that's to pay a courtesy visit on the Director General of the Correctional Services. That's the DG, that's the prisons, what they call you, what we used to call the prisons. We just left them as we speak. With the Board of Trustee Chairman and all of us, we have to come and address people who are currently doing the senior professional route. And that was why I came a bit late here. Living here now, I have other meetings, other engagements. Please, students, I will use this opportunity with the permission of the moderator. I will leave my numbers or the moderator so that you can reach me. I held a meeting with your national NEMSA few days ago, and they were impressed. You are the future of this profession. You are among the stakeholders of the project N9 ESV. If there are things that are happening in the institution you don't like, please call the president. If there are things that you think as a student we should be doing, please call the president. If there are things that you think we should improve on, call the president. It's your right. Join the institution. Participate in so many things. So many things are going to come up. I can assure you.
Okay, it seems his network has.
We have the academic forum, we have the education, we are doing a lot of monitor. So we are trying to make sure that from the students, graduates, probationers, associate fellows, we are all one. Is the institution.
Fantastic.
So on that note, I have a lot. Maybe if there are any other forum that I will have opportunity, please, I'm also creating, we have also asked all HODs to send us the alumni details, because alumni will look at it that the alumni need to pay back to where they came from. At least we need to do a lot. We need to assist the students. We are putting in place some scholarship things there. We are putting in place so many things that's why I need to be talking to the students. That is the future of the profession. Thank you. I have so much, but you know, fantastic. So many things. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. You know, anytime I'm talking to you, I'm also always wondering, you're always filled with so many ideas. But you know, just hearing you talk about your background today, I now understand that no be today.
It's from the streets.
You are top in your not only your department but in the faculty.
In the faculty.
Even as a student, and I think that just gives encouragement to someone listening to you today. And when you're in school, the students that are top academically, sometimes they are not the most favored in the class. They are not the most popular.
I thank God for my own case.
You know, but listening to you today, you know, such a person that is focused academically knows that, you know, in future, he too can be the #1 estate surveyor in Nigeria, you know, and be able to bring such transformation. Sir, I hope you are around for our next round of questions, but even before then, I want to quickly ask you a question.
Yes.
Today, I was speaking to a young lady, and, you know, she told me, you know, how she's looking at becoming an accountant, despite the fact that she finished with like a first class or 2-1, you know, in estate management. But she said she wants to become an accountant. And I said, why? She said she found out that she can't become a chartered accountant. She can't become become a chartered estate surveyor and valuer because she did not do chemistry or physics in her WAEC. I said, don't worry, I'm going to be on a panel with the president tomorrow. I'm going to ask him this.
I have an answer straight. I have answer straight. Under this administration, your O-level result is your certificate. Just the way RICS does. RICS will not look at your O-level result. If you have a certificate in estate management and valuation, fine. Then if you don't have, as a student, it's just 3 steps. Come in as a student, do stage 1. And the beauty again is you have the opportunity of doing 1 and 2 the same year. We have the May, June exams, and we have the October, November exams. So if you start as a student, peradventure, you did not do all those things. Just come in that level. You may not have even done anything, just come in at that level. You do, because those things are to cure those areas. You don't need to go to even university. We have the education, the exams. We call it PQ1, PQ2, PQ3, and PPE, you know? So at the end of the day, you can just come in with whatever this thing you have to come and write from PQA1. Because at that PQ1, you will face all the courses you need to face there. So it will cure whatever deficiencies you have. So at the end...
But for someone like this lady I was talking about that has a degree, she doesn't need any other thing. She can do her 2 years and do her CA.
So like now, we also have a program for anybody from any profession. Submit what you have, your transcript, then we'll look at it and know the level you will start. So apart from that issue of, because somebody is already having a degree, you know, in another profession, so you submit it, the education committee will assess you and know the level from which you begin the exams. So there's opportunity for all players.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, sir, for that clarification. I told her that I was going to ask you this question, all right, because it sounded very bizarre to me that was the only reason why, you know, she was going to do it.
Welcome her. Let her just submit her applications and we'll look at it. I'm sure within a very few years, maybe 2 years, she will become an estate surveyor and valuer.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. I'm going to move back to you now, Dolapo. All right. And Dolapo, you've heard the conversation that we've been talking about, you know, and you know, just talking about the profession, right? You studied investment and finance, you know, in property at the University of Reading, and obviously you also employ a lot of, you know, real estate graduates, estate management students, you know, and all. Looking at, you know, real estate as a profession, and you're speaking to students right now. I mean, there are multiple platforms listening to you. What are the skills that you think that they need to be developing to solve the contemporary issues that we have in property today?
This is a really good question, because I think it's a conversation that we need to be having in terms of getting students understanding how to do, at least from my perspective, really good high quality research. I think that depending on, it's not really also about the school, it's just depending on your level of curiosity. The ability that I have seen from prospective candidates who are either applying for jobs at Estate Intel, for example, or who I currently work with, really varies. And I think that at the heart of it, I mean, it doesn't sound like a skill, but curiosity is very important. And curiosity internally can really help you decide to pick up a new skill, improve existing skills that you have, and just observe what's going on around you so that you can identify the places that you need to work. Right now, what I see from a research person, and I'll just from a research perspective, from my view in Estate Intel, one of the really important things that I believe is important is understanding how to tell the story with research and how to tell the story with data. Now, there are really important skills when you want to collect data, knowing where to look, knowing the sources that are right for the right solutions or for the right particular problem you're trying to solve. But even if you can get all that information, if you don't know how to tell the story with the data, if you don't know how to visualize that data in a way that your reader can connect to it deeper, it's not going to do much. You're not going to be able to connect. So I think that one thing that if you are a student, you're doing research, you're trying to understand how I'm speaking from a research perspective. If you want to play in the research space, you need to invest your skill set in understanding how to visualize your data, visualizing the data and understanding how you're going to tell that story. A lot of the times when I tell people in my team, if you want to write a report, don't do anything. Don't write any report. Just get all the data, get all the numbers, calculate the growth rate, calculate everything, and just sit there and look at it and talk to people about it. And then once you can understand that, identify the story that you want to tell, and then it becomes so much easier. You'll be able to visualize something in a nice way that somebody who is might not even have time to read a full report can just look at it and say, wow, that makes perfect sense. I get it. So I think in terms of skill set, I definitely think that data visualization and just understanding how to tell a story with data is super important. And you can do that by just trying what I just explained, but also just playing with design tools. Canva is really basic. We use Figma. Figma is a design tool that people use to design user interfaces, but it's really good for reports. Photoshop, Adobe Illustrator. These are really, really good tools that will help you play with your design skill set, and that will also aid you in trying to tell the story with information. I think personally, that's probably one of the most important things that I've found working in my specific line, which is research and intelligence. Because even if you have tons of data, all the research, all the information, if you don't know how to communicate it and tell a story to your prospective reader or your client, we are just going to get lost. So I'm going to stop there because I think that skill set is important. So.
Awesome. Dolapo, when we come back to you, we'll be talking more about personality, right? In terms of personality of someone that can do research, that can be a great writer, that can be a great presenter, just to put, just for you to know. Thank you so much. Our president has to leave. So I just want you in 2 minutes, I know you've said a couple things, but I still just wanted you to just take a minute, maybe just a minute, to just give a charge to the students on the call. Just a quick charge, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much, Tayo. My students, you see, whatever you do, take it seriously. You are fortunate to be reading this profession. Very fortunate. Our core functions are so much that you will not believe it. I'm sure you don't know all yet at that your level. There is no industry we cannot play. Is it in the oil industry? We are there. Is it in the aviation industry, marine, transportation, anywhere, name it. in the financial industry, we are there. So there is so much prospect. All you need to do, listen to your lecturers, ask questions, do tutorials, engage yourselves. Don't hide any knowledge you know. Share it and let others tap from it. And at the end, all will end in praise. So just be serious. And as I earlier said, honesty and devotion, which is the motto of the institution. You must, if you wake up, it's issue of honesty. Anything, you must be dedicated. And institutions does not play with ethics and standards.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. We truly appreciate you for honoring this invitation. And I trust that in the next, say, 10, 20 years, there's every likelihood that a NISV president will stand up and say, I heard the national president speak at Why I Love
That is my prayer. Yes.
And it encouraged me.
Thank you so much.
We are trusting
so
that.
Please leave my numbers to them,
yes.
My email. I'm the president, not the president of only associates and fellows, most especially the student. That is my area, catchment area. We need to invest. We need to invest in our students, in our classrooms.
Fantastic.
We need to assist our lecturers to do the right thing. Fantastic. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you so much, sir. We truly appreciate you. Thank you so much. All the best with your other engagements today. Yes, sir.
All right.
Yeah. Great. Ife, thank you so much. You were telling us about your career earlier. I want you to kind of delve into your work at Deloitte, because a lot of people probably say, Deloitte, that's interesting, it's an accounting firm, but obviously I know you're a member of the RICS. Hopefully you might even become an associate of the NIESV as well. We can never tell. But more importantly, you do a lot of great real estate work. Can you tell us about the work you do at Deloitte? And just in case there's any student on this call saying, okay, I like what I hear Ife is doing, can you just give some insight into how that person can transition the way you have?
Definitely. Thank you, Tayo. And I'll start with answering the second question before I go into the first question. So when I was a graduate, right, I wanted to go into investment management, maybe investment banking, accounting, but I also wanted to go into real estate. And I think the reason I chose Deloitte is it marries both. So as everybody knows, or most people know, Deloitte is a professional service firm, and we provide a lot of different services. The one you most likely are familiar with is accounting, where we provide audit services. But we also provide tax advisory, we provide financial advisory, we provide forensic services, and we provide business processing services. So, and consulting, obviously. So that's strategy consulting, management consulting. But within our financial advisory team, we have a dedicated real estate team. Now, in the financial services industries, you know, we have stocks, we have bonds. In terms of the financial assets that we have, real estate is actually a financial asset. And so within our team, we have a specialist team that advises on real estate as a financial asset. So what services do we provide? Similar to Tayo, we provide valuation services, we provide feasibility studies, we provide highest and best use studies, and I'll explain what these things are. We provide capital raise services. So if somebody wants to raise capital, either debt or equity, we'll help them develop marketing documents, an investment memorandum, a teaser, whether they want to sell real estate, if they want to buy, so if they're looking to invest in real estate, and also if they're looking to raise money for real estate related projects. So what is a feasibility study? A feasibility study assesses the viability of a project, meaning how much is it going to cost me to develop this project? What will my revenues be? What would my cost be? And at the end of the day, what is the profitability of that project? I mean, you're all real estate students, so you understand IRR, MPV, etc. We provide valuations, reports, and support, and I'll make a distinction. So if we have a client who owns, let's say, a big office building and they want to know what the value of it, we can advise on the value of the building. But we also have a lot of clients who, and this is where a lot of our clients is we're providing audit services to them, but they hold real estate on their books. And so they want assurance services in regards to the value of that real estate. So we provide audit support in looking at the tenure, looking at the valuation report and saying, okay, is this valuation within a reasonable range? Have we considered things such as, economic uncertainty, provisions that we need to make? Maybe the building is run down. Have we made adequate provisions for renovation? What is the economic life of that real estate asset? And is it adequately captured in our clients' financial books? So for those of you who want to be accountants, there's a lot of accounting, that happens in real estate. We provide highest and best use studies. Now, if somebody has a piece of land and they want to develop something, we would undertake analysis and advise them on the best real estate asset class to go there, right? So depending on the side of the road the property is on, how big it is, how, what the visibility is, what the surrounding use is, we'll say, okay, this, let's say, for example, in Ikoyi, if we did a highest and best use assessment 10 years ago, most of Ikoyi was residential buildings. But there were indications that, a lot of major roads were going to become commercial. So you want to be looking at the future of an area and the future potential of that real estate and advise your clients accordingly. So those are some of the things that we do at Deloitte. We also provide client development advice. So if we have clients who are not, let's say, for example, I have a tech company or a bank, right? Their core competency is not in real estate, but they need offices, they need branches. So we will advise them on, okay, what their strategy is, how many branches do they need, how do they develop it? They don't know anything about getting design, so we'll guide them through that entire process. So those are some of the things we do. I'll also let you know, there are a lot of you students here, and I just want to encourage you that there's a lot of demand for real estate professionals in the market. All of the real estate companies I know are either hiring or soon to be hiring, right? And we're looking for qualified people. So be encouraged that there's a lot of demand for what you are studying now. And, there's also a lot of people in the market that are looking to get these jobs. So, I feel there's a sentiment, or there was a sentiment amongst Nigerian universities that, estate management is not, the coolest degree, is not a hot degree, but it actually is. I know an organization that was trying to hire a senior real estate person for 3 years, right? There's a dearth in the market for real estate professionals, and the market is looking to you to come and fulfill, that demand. So
if I may chime in, you said there's a lot of demand, but you qualified it with the word qualified. You qualified it with the word qualified. Can you highlight those qualities that qualifies, these students? Because I want to believe that you won't enter into the class, and just say, how many of you want to work in Deloitte? Raise your hand, and they can come in. What are the things that will qualify them?
Okay, so I had actually written 3 points in terms of, what to focus on in school. Dolapo mentioned almost 2 of them, almost word for word. One is curiosity, and the other is, I'm going to focus on the second one, which is learning how to tell a narrative, but I'm going to make it more granular for you. When we're hiring, right, we are looking for somebody that knows how to research, how to process data, and how to articulate that, right? So what are those core transferable skills you need? Curiosity helps with research. If I say this is the topic, I need you to know where to look for information, right? So whether it is through Google searches, through libraries, through news articles, you need to know how to find information that is publicly available and take that information and put it in a format that can be used, which is data processing. You need to be fantastic at Excel. You need to be fantastic at Word. You need to be fantastic at PowerPoint. The Word suite should be, you should be great at that. There's other softwares that you can learn on the job, like Argos Developer, Estate Manager, but your use of, the Word package should be fantastic. So for example, I might ask somebody, please do research and, give me the GLA of these buildings, gross leasable area. You need to understand that you should not mix letters and numbers in the same cell in Excel so that somebody can do a sum formula, right? So data processing is very important. And then secondly, business writing is also very important. And I'm making a distinction between business writing and academic writing. In school, a lot of the way, and I mean, schools are changing, but a lot of the essays that we are asked, they want you to, it's a long document, you need to give the preface. Business writing is the complete opposite. It needs to be short, concise, and to the point. So what I value is people being able to write well and to write concisely. And then finally, in terms of what makes people qualified, having work experience as well, right? So there's so many people graduating from university with estate management degrees, but have you had any work experience, right? If you go through 4 years of school, at least you should have had 1 or 2 internships. So I know that, look, you understand the working environment, you've had experience at a number of different organizations. I'll say, if possible, every single summer, at least work in one place for 3 weeks, a month. If it can be 2 months, 3 months, fantastic. If you have any industrial IT sessions that you can do, even better. The level of work experience that you can graduate with from university is actually what makes you hireable, right? Because people want to see that you have experience, even though you're a graduate. So whether it's unpaid or it is paid, or they're not giving you anything, but they're just covering your transport, you need to know that that's an investment in your future salary. Your internship develops determines your first work experience salary. Let's say I have 2 graduates, one has 1 internship and one has done 4. If I have a salary band, the person who has done 4 he's going to get higher in the salary band compared to the person who has just done 1 or none. So to summarize, you need to be able to do research, you need to be able to do data and number processing, you need to be able to do business writing, which is concise, which knows how to pull a story. You need to be able to visualize. So if you can, work on, or how to use any of the programs that Dolapo mentioned, that is fantastic as well. And then you need to be very curious. If some Sorry, I muted myself by mistake. What was I saying? Okay, to be passionate and curious. So if somebody mentions something to you on a call, you need to be able to research what that thing is and understand why it relates to the subject matter. So I hope that addresses the question.
Fantastic, Ife. Thank you so much for sharing these thoughts. And you're just super spot on. I mean, these are the things that we look out for, at Northcote, especially if you want to join our advisory team. We always say our advisory team is like the creme de la creme. If for you to be able to get into that team, you have to have a lot of all these skills, that Ife has talked about. And, I kind of emphasize the role of interning, the role of, just having a lot of work experience. Some of people that work with us in our advisory team worked with us as interns while they were students, and, even if maybe when they were interns, they didn't know anything. And it's okay not to know anything when you're an intern, but, you intern and you see what, you should know. So you begin to move towards that. So it becomes much more easier for you to be hired, because you understand the culture, you understand what is required. You might not be, the best at it, but you are infinitely better than, your classmates that has never interned. Thanks so much for sharing so passionately, Ife. You and Dolapo have done quite some job, at speaking to, what we should be looking out for in students, what students should be looking out for if they want to have great careers in consulting, research, from a professional perspective. Dr. Igo, I want you to talk about from an academic perspective, right? Because we also need people to be doing academic research. Especially those of us in professional research, we still require, some hardcore research, that has been done with econometric tools and things like that, that only the academic researchers might be able to, churn out. What should students who are saying, I want to be an academic, I want to change the face of academia from a real estate perspective, the way Dr. Igo is doing, what are the skills that they should be looking out to have?
Thank you very much, Tayo. Honestly speaking, this stuff is really quite enlightening from the professional perspective. And we should note that real estate easier for even the academics, because we start mixing professionalism with the academic aspects, it won't work. That's why of lately we're trying to bring in professionals to even lecture the students, to give them a professional viewpoint of what I hope you're hearing me.
Yes, yes. We can hear you.
Hello? Okay. I needed to be sure. Okay, so we need to give them a professional perspective. Okay, we need to give them a professional perspective of what they actually need to know. So it goes way beyond the academic, but notwithstanding, academic writing, like they said, is quite different from professional writing. But I think these days you have to be creative about whatever you intend to write about. So professionalism is also needed, and we have courses that actually groom you to enable you do well in writing. We have research methods, we have statistical methods that teach you the statistical aspects, be it descriptive or inferential statistics you need to, get knowledgeable about. But I know at the BSc level, we usually concentrate on the descriptive analysis, because we know the inferential analysis technique is usually very complicated. Then yes, we know you can use descriptive, but if you can, it is also advisable for you to have courses that help now. We have strategic real estate course that we now teach our students, because we know for you to excel at there, you have to be strategic. Basically, strategies are needed for being in the forwards of the university before they go out there to the labor market. Now, the truth is, as undergraduates, you don't even know what you want sometimes. You're always saying that, do I really need this? Do I not? But with life experiences, that's one thing I noticed from almost all the panelists. What they started with is not what they eventually ended with. So that's the essence of this program we're having right now, enlightening the students to make decisions on time, so that they don't go through the process we all had to go through, going here, going there, before we eventually, arrive at our bus stop, we call it, to attain what we want. So we don't want them to go through that. That's why we also encourage, like they said, mentors, people that will mentor them from the scratch on how they can make right decisions. We probably didn't have the privileges those days, because, we had elderly people who we could not approach. But fortunately, in the real estate world now, we have a lot of young ones, like you, Tayo. I was privileged to discuss with you, and you have lots of ideas, which I utilize even in the classrooms now to make improvements on my students, because I know what is required out there, Then we have the Dolapo I just saw now, and we have Ife, So these are encouraging. Honestly speaking, we have, and students don't like it when it looks as if, there's no they enjoy it. There's no process. We are young, we know how to find body, and we have as well, but which will make you realize that estate goes way beyond the classrooms, and this has really helped them. It has motivated them to even want to study. Fortunately, we even have conversion students who are professionals who also, come to school and sit with the regular student, and this has really encouraged them. They now understand that, okay, it goes way beyond just being in class. You have lectures, you go for practicals. Like there's a course we just introduced, it's called Site Management and Maintenance. We have a lot of structures that are ongoing in school. So these students will go there every week to report, and they are given practical assignments, probably like evaluation assignments, you know. The site engineers are those that will give them these assignments, or they go and maintain a site and manage a site, and eventually they report back with reports. This is what we have learned. And why we're trying to do this is because we don't want our students going outside and they don't have any practical knowledge. Because, you know, practice is key. If you ask it, that's why these days academics has gone beyond just writing. You give illustrations, do PowerPoints where you have pictorial descriptions of what you are talking about. People understand things easier when you have pictures to highlight them. So that's the way it goes. And academic is not just the regular, let's be talking, you know? We now have interactive sections because sometimes this student knows way beyond what you think they know. Well, you're not creating room for them to communicate, to converse, you won't even be privileged to have these ideas because I've learned a lot from my students. So basically it's a mixture entire. We have to practice and at the same time, we have to do academics so that the combination makes you better at whatever you do.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing these thoughts. And, you know, just hearing you speak, I'm sure Ife and Dolapo share the sentiments. You know, it's just music to my ears, you know, hearing the approach that you're taking to delivering value to your students. And that's why I brought Dolapo and Ife up to say that, Doctor, if you can harness these people on this call, right? I know you have thoughts of, you know, having me come do stuff for your students, but Ife and Dolapo, I can assure you, are also super great resources, you know, that, you know, would enrich, you know, your program. Obviously, Ayo as well, can always support, and other panelists that have spoken, especially from the PropTech and development perspective. And I think that's partly why we have these events, you know, to just create these kind of collaborations and all. Lit City may not be the biggest university in Nigeria, but if you restructure your program, you know, along the lines that you've said, as you're already restructuring, it can easily become the biggest university, at least for real estate. You know, in the UK, University of Reading is like number 30, right? But for real estate, it's number 1, number 2. Because they've developed the program, you know, substantially over the years, made it very, very practical, made it and there's a lot of industry engagement, you know, and that's something that you can do. And I'm sure I speak for these lovely panelists that we're happy to work with you, don't I?
Yep, you do.
Absolutely. And as we just round off, it's been great hearing from you. I'll start from you, Ife. Ife, you know, kind of like as I was talking to the president, you know, just imagine that Ife 2.0, you know, the Ife that is going to lead financial advisory, real estate financial advisory at Deloitte or Northcote or Estate or any firm, you know, in 10 years' time. Say 2 things to her. Say 2 things to him, assuming he's a guy. You're muted.
Sorry, just to clarify the question, you want me to speak to my future self?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So 2 things that I think are very important, IFE 2.0, is that you continue to maintain a growth mindset. A growth mindset is one where you are always curious, always willing to try new things, always open to new information. And that you cultivate a growth mindset in all areas, and that you're willing to learn from everyone, including your juniors, your superiors, you know, that you're staying up to date with the market. And also to IFE 2.0, even though this doesn't necessarily relate to career, is that you learn to balance work and life and, you know, prioritize your commitments. Yes, career is very important. Yes, you want to, you know, make the most of your career, but it's also important that you balance the rest of your life, your personal life, your education and that you keep developing yourself even though you're in leadership. So, yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Okay, Dolapo, I'm going to.
Yes. Thank you very much.
So, Dolapo 2.0, what will you say to him?
You know what? I'm not so sure. If
Dolapo, as you speak, I also want you to talk to the subject of like character, right? I wanted to talk to that because watching you, and you may think your biggest strength is that you understand research or you're curious and all of that, but I think your biggest strength is your personality and your character, your attitude to work, because that's what has helped you to build Estate Intel, from my own perspective. So I want you to speak to that, because we see a lot of deficiency in that. I'm sure you've seen that working with a lot of people that you think are even more brilliant than you. To be honest, I've worked with people that are more brilliant than me. Mm-hmm. They would never be able to build a North Court because of their attitude to work and character. So I want you to speak to that.
I mean, on character, I definitely think that diligence is really important. I think diligence can really set different people apart, and it's the drive that you need to help you achieve your goals. With research specifically, it's important because when you're trying to analyze and find information in a market like this where it's really difficult, diligence will keep you consistent. It's not really about the intensity, or I'm going to spend my whole day. That consistency is super important because it's difficult and you need that time to find it. I think that diligence can also probably be applied to other areas of life. And that can give you, like I said, the consistency to just be able to thrive. I think diligence, amongst other things, like Ife mentioned, curiosity, storytelling, ability to turn data into intelligence. I was actually making some notes. I didn't mean to send that. But taking numbers and being able to ask, so what? All the time. To what end? People make fun of me in my office. I'm always asking, okay, you say something to me and I'm just like, okay, to what end? Okay, well, what's the point of this? If you can ask that consistently, I think that helps. But I would say personally, I think diligence is a super, super, super important character trait. That's the first part. But in terms of what I would say to myself, I think it's maybe just carry on to young Dolapo coming out of school. I think I would definitely invest some more time in working in places that have structure. In my two former places where I worked, 2 years in Brawl and 2 years in AXA, and a year plus in AXA, I learned different things. In Brawl, I worked with a very good team lead, a good boss, essentially, not the CEO, but my manager. And we still talk to this day. In fact, we just had a 1 hour conversation about a few days ago. She's moved to the US now. But finding people that, encouraging myself essentially to make sure I find people that I can learn from. Many decisions I make today, I think back to 2 people, one person in AXA and one person in Brawl. What would they do in this situation? And it helps me. So I think that personally, if I could advise myself, I'll probably be telling myself to find a couple more of those people. And then also just to carry on with the work and never stop asking why, asking so what, trying to find out why things are important. Because the more you do that, the more you can think critically, the more you can apply yourself, and the more you can grow. If you just take everything at face value and just say, okay, yes, to whatever everybody says, you limit the ability to gain new perspectives. And that perspective, I'm going to keep talking about research, is really important when you're trying to write a note or to tell a story, which is super important in this space. Just a general quality that I would encourage everybody, including myself, but especially when you're applying for jobs, one thing that I noticed that recruiters, and even recruiters or anybody that might be interviewing you, people push. So if you're in an interview and somebody's asking you a bunch of really difficult questions, you need to be okay and be fine and humble enough to say, oh, I don't know that. But you know what, I will be able to, this is probably where I would look and I think I could find it. That is such an important quality in general. But especially in research, there are many times I interview people and I just ask, and especially if they're doing well, I just keep pushing. and I'll ask something difficult that, I mean, I wouldn't expect you to know, but the way you respond to that is really important. And if you say you come up with some big story, you just lie, or you just say, oh yeah, well, it's not the best. It's better it's to your advantage if you can quickly say, oh, well, I actually don't know that. But I think if I wanted to find out, I would look here. Or I don't know that. Can I get back to you tomorrow? It's 2 simple words, and that makes you look a lot better than trying to come up with a whole other story. This is just additional traits that I think has been useful to me, and I'll encourage myself to do it and to continue doing it. But I would also encourage everybody else to take that on board. It's impossible to know everything. That's why we are all researchers. We're learning every single day. The moment you think you've learned everything, there's probably times 10 you haven't found out. So that skill set to be able to take a step back and just like, yeah, I can get back to you. I'm not sure, but this is how I'll probably tackle that. It's very important especially for everybody that might be going for a research interview or trying to get a job. That's keep that in mind, because people might they put you under pressure, and then you overthink it and end up lying.
I mean, Dolapo, you're super spot on. I mean, to be honest, there's only so many numbers you can keep in your head, right? But on a research interview, we're trying to find out how you approach, getting data, how you approach, issues. Mm-hmm. So when I ask you what is the GDP of Nigeria, okay, I don't know, but I know that I can find that from NBS's platform. That is a brilliant answer, because I know that you know where to find this thing. Do you understand? Or you mention some other platform that I also know, you can get information. Don't tell me I'll Google it. That's a little vague, right? But if you can tell me you understand where certain things are, you don't have to have the number in your head, but you need to. So, I mean, and you're absolutely right. By the time you tell me, last time I checked, it was 150 million USD. You have absolutely missed the answer, and that's a lie, actually, because obviously it's not been 150 in a while. Thank you so much, Dolapo, and thank you to every one of the panelists. I think this has been useful for me, so I can imagine how useful it has been for the students of the call. Thank you so much. All right, I'm just going to hand over back to Matthew now. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Once again, thank you so much. Thank you so much to everyone who has led this discussion. Thank you so much. I think the emphasis on engaging yourself, being curious, learning how to tell a story, and networking are so fundamental that if that's all you have, then it's only a matter of time you'll be where you are. So thank you so much, or you'll be where you want to be. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We're off to the Q&A session. We had a few students leave questions, and I think a great way to do it is they referenced some people who might have dropped off. If you'd like to answer any of the questions, maybe just signify. The first is from Glenn Sibeko. He's a student in South Africa. He wants to know how to build a strong relationship when only engaging someone online. Anyone?
I can take that. I think a lot of the questions were about mentorship, how to connect with people online, etc. So what I would suggest is, one, try and build a community online using LinkedIn. The more contacts you have, the more likely you are to have people who are, your first and second connections. And then you can send people messages, right? But you always need to have a clear ask. So with LinkedIn isn't ideal for mentorship, but in terms of where you are, ask targeted and specific questions. So introduce yourself. Hello, I'm a student of this. Say what year of university you're in, and what your ask is. So don't say I'm looking for mentorship, because mentorship online is difficult. So you could say, oh, I would love to have a 30-minute chat with you. Would you have some time within the next 2 weeks, right? So your ask is specific, and your ask is also flexible. It's not, oh, I want to talk to you today, because people are busy. So if you say, hi, I would I would love to just talk to some professionals about, and tell me what you want to talk about potential career options, potential, and then ask for, a 10, 15, 30-minute call. Then, I think that is one way that you can build relationships and potentially a mentorship relationship, but also using curiosity, right? So let's say somebody just posted an announcement on LinkedIn, similar to Dolapo, who just, raised some money for Estate Intel. Ask him a specific question about it, what was the process like? What was the most challenging thing for you, right? That question will likely pique his interest, and when he has time, he may be able to respond. So I've just told you, some of my own personal preferences. If you're looking for a job and all you want is a job, just say, I'm looking for a job, please find attached my CV. So if you're looking for a job, don't ask for mentorship or ask for a conversation, right? So one of the things I'll say is people are very busy. Make sure your intentions are clear. If you're looking for a job, specify, and don't tell me you're looking for a job and not have your CV ready. So just be clear in terms of what your ask is, and then, people are willing to engage that way, in my experience. Sorry, one other recommendation, in terms of mentorship, I would also suggest that you look for mentorship from people who are a few levels above you, right? So for example, the MD of a company, especially if they're significantly older, is not going to have significant amounts of time to invest in mentorship. But maybe somebody who is a senior associate or an assistant manager or a manager who, their investing days were not so far away, they will have more time, right? So it doesn't always have to be a company MD or the leader of an organization. Just somebody a few steps ahead of you can actually provide a lot of value.
Thank you, Ma. Thank you so much. I'd like to read the next one completely because there's a remark in it. Mayowa Gabriel says, I must confess, this session has been a thought-provoking one. Once again, a good job to all the resource persons for doing justice to the discussion. I had an academic-based mentor, and frankly speaking, I'm doing pretty good academically, and I look forward to having an industry-based mentor, but then he's a very busy person. My question is, what is the best way to get their attention? I think your answer partly answers this. Would there be anybody else who would like to go?
Yeah, I think I can contribute a bit here. Dr. Fayomi speaking.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, you need to, for you to actually get the attention of someone, you have to know about the person, more in-depth, carry out an in-depth study of your mentor, what he likes, things he does, probably even have, maybe he has publications, journals, things of interest to him. Take your time, study them. So when you even send emails to them, you could probably talk about the publication they have out there. Okay, I read something about your publication. I'm interested, I would want you to enlighten me more about it. So everybody wants to share knowledge. Everybody wants others to have a part of what they feel they are doing and they're excelling at. So definitely this would prompt, no matter how busy I am and I see an email, someone interested in what I'm doing, it will catch my attention and I would probably just respond back. So that's already a positive sign. Getting a response back. And from there, you continue communication.
Thank you, Ma'am. I think that was very helpful. Most of the questions are very similar, tailoring towards mentorship. So the last question we can take, and if for students, if you have questions, please go ahead to use the Q&A box. The next one we're going to take is so this person wants to know where the areas that he or she can major in for a master's degree.
I can try and answer this, although I'm not the best person to answer. I don't have a master's. And I chose not to do a master's very intentionally because I didn't think it made sense for me to immediately do it right after school. I think the master's is supposed to actually help you. The experience you get right after you're doing your first degree should help you and guide you to decide what you want to specialize in, at least from my perspective. If you're doing a conversion course, I think just doing some general research and interviewing people in the industry, find people with ideal jobs that you might want. And then you can then start to speak to them and see if that helps. But in my experience, I actually think before going on to do a master's to specialize in something, not to convert into another field, if I'm looking to specialize in a particular area, it's experience that's the best teacher. Using my own personal experience, my first ever internship was real estate related internship was in facility management. It opened me up to lots of construction, lots of new buildings, but within a week or two, I knew I am never spending any of my time in a facility management office ever again. I knew very quickly it wasn't going to be something I was interested in. And I ended up specializing specifically in investment and finance. Within real estate, you can specialize in investment and finance. You can specialize in valuation. You can specialize in asset management. You can specialize in research. There's so many individual segments that you can choose to work in, but it's all speculation until you are in the seat yourself and doing that work day by day. So I would encourage you to, if you can, even if it's short bits of experience, get some work experience and use that to guide you before deciding, oh yeah, this is what I'm going to spend so much money doing a master's. My perspective, but I hope that's helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think it definitely was. I think it definitely was. This brings us to the end of the session. We want to especially thank all our participants and all our panelists because we realize that your time is important. Thank you so much. You know, I feel like giving a personal testimonial, and I touched this a bit at the beginning, but I was present at the first Why I Love Real Estate. I was present at the second Why I Love Real Estate, the third, the fourth, the fifth, right up to now, and it shaped my trajectory, career trajectory, made me aware of possibilities regarding my career. And I'm a senior analyst at Northcote today, and it's really because, so Northcote does a few other events, and it's really a summation of all of the events that Northcote does. It really brought me here. So I think that maybe for students watching, you can go back to YouTube and watch again and again and again, you know, just so these things stick with you. We also recently concluded the essay competition for real estate students nationwide, and really, you know, we got entries internationally. So we just want to remind you that that's an annual thing. It's going to be coming up next year. Please remember to follow us on social media, Northcote on social media. And I see a question for what the YouTube, our YouTube name is. It's Northcote. It's Northcote. It's Northcote. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time, especially our panelists. Thank you so much. For students, we hope that you had a great time, very enlightening. Like I said before, please, I think it would be a great idea for you to go back and watch this over and over again. I think I remember myself doing a lot of that back then. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day ahead. Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Enjoy your day. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.